Show of hands, if you were afraid to tell your parents how you felt growing up, 2 hands in adulthood. I need more hands. And by parents, for me, I mean mother. So I have been estranged for over 30 years. I'm a transgender, according to the estranged parents out there. And I was also an estranged parent. That was like 20 years ago. And my daughter and I have been in a relationship for over 20 years. Like the estrangement lasted a couple of years, and we've been solid for a very, very long time. Anyway, all this to be said, and I'm saying this and I'm letting you know that I was on both sides of the track because I don't have a desire to create more division. I have a desire to create a conversation around what it looks like when we go no contact. When I ended up going no contact, I wrote a 7-page letter, which I regret because at the end of the day, looking back at who my mother is and was, what I didn't understand at the time was that letter would have given her satisfaction because she's a sadist. Like everything that she did, she really did to me with the greatest of intention to cause harm. And I didn't really understand it at the time. So basically I told her it all worked and I was going to be healing for a lifetime from everything she did to me. Fortunately, that's not true. Yes, I'm still healing, but I'm also living my best life and I'm not stuck in any of the things that I thought I would never be able to overcome. Before I went no contact, though, before that letter, the only time I gave my mother any pushback because I was terrified of her was when she was doing things in relationship to my children that I didn't like, that I felt were damaging. So, for example, she played favorites. My daughter was her golden child and my son was the non-existent one. And what I didn't know at the time, so when I went no contact, they were like 6 and 2. What I didn't know at the time was that my eldest daughter felt guilty because she knew my mother didn't like her little brother. That wasn't normalized for her because at home, she knew that, you know, she was loved, her little brother was loved, and that things were equitable, right? She also didn't understand why my mother didn't like me. She noticed the way that my mother talked to me and to her step-grandfather. She was the only one who was liked, and she learned to feel bad for others and feel guilty as a result of that. I didn't know that at the time. The only thing that I knew, I had my daughter when I was 17, was that I didn't want my children to be treated in this manner, and that I didn't want them to think it was okay to speak to anybody in the way that my mother spoke to me, for example. And so those were boundaries that I was trying to create that my mother was violating and leveraging on the regular. To move backwards a little bit, to kind of go into the kind of fear that I had of my mother, where there was no way I was going to say to her, you hurt me, you did this, you did that, I need you to be my mom, like all the things that I wished I could have said to her. First of all, I thought I deserved the way that she treated me. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought that if I showed up good enough, she would see me as somebody worthwhile and would be able to love me. Setting boundaries for my children was easy because I knew that they deserved better. I knew I didn't, kind of thing. And as a little backstory, when I was 13 years old, I ran away from home. I ended up living on the streets. At 17, social services sent me back, no questions asked, because I had a little baby, and it was required that if a minor had a child, they had to inform the minor's parents. And that's how I ended up back home. Here I was, 17 year old, a shell-shock trauma survivor from birth, basically. And my mother, the first thing she did was chopped off all my hair. She took me, had it all chopped off, said it was stringy. I didn't even recognize at the time that that was the exact same language, the exact same thing she had done my entire life. And I didn't recognize it because if my mother said jump, I didn't ask how high. I just knew to jump as high as I could. It didn't occur to me I could say no. I didn't want my hair chopped off. I cried for days afterwards in secret because I was afraid she would see me. So 3.5 years I hadn't been home, and I clicked right back into the position that I knew I belonged in. An obedient little soldier with no fight. I had no idea I had the right to say no. 3 years later, 20 years old, guess what? She chopped it off again. And again, I didn't say no because I was terrified of her. So now let's fast forward into adulthood. Because by the age of 26, now I had 3 children. I had my third child when I was about 26 years old. And it's the first time I actually ended up confronting my mother. And I do it this way because I called her on the phone and it was in defense of my daughter. It wasn't for me. And I brought it around to me in that phone call. I had my ex-husband on the other line. We were already no contact at this point, and he was on the other line for support and as my witness because, you know, I knew I wasn't going to remember the conversation. I ended up confronting her on the phone because she was calling my house behind my back, and my mother-in-law, who didn't speak English, would pass the phone to my eldest daughter, not knowing who it was. And my eldest daughter, who was 9 at the time, threw my mother under the bus because she knew not to keep secrets. She knew that it wasn't okay, and so she told me, and that's what caused the phone call. But going back to the way that we're afraid of communicating, the point of this video is because there's a lot of estranged parents out there, and that's why I prefaced this by saying that there was a time where I was estranged. Don't understand why their adult children haven't said, you know, this is why I'm going no contact, or this is what's going on. And a lot of adult children do say, a lot of them say, I need you to respect my boundaries. I need you to be a safe person. I need you to own the past. I need you to be accountable, you know, through different ways of putting it. But there are a lot of adult children who do express these things, but don't express, if you don't, I'm leaving, because then that seems like an ultimatum, damned if we do and damned if we don't. However, that to be said, if you raised a child in fear of communicating with you, and if you created an environment when they did, you didn't validate them, you didn't listen to them, you didn't hear them, you didn't see them, then how do you really know they weren't trying to tell you? 1. And 2, how are you surprised when they didn't try to tell you? 2. Thoughts? Feelings? And as a little side note, I think this is kind of why some estranged parents go, I don't know why they estranged. Maybe take a moment to look back over the years of what your relationship with your adult child actually looked like through their childhood into their adulthood. Ask yourself, did that relationship grow over time? Did it transition into a place where I respected them as adults, for example? Did we have conversations about feelings? Did I ever apologize and change my behavior throughout any point in time in my child's life, from the beginning to the time that they went no contact? Because if the answer to that is no, that's why you're estranged. Because all of us have moments in time that we need to apologize for and behaviors that we need to change. And if you made it like 20 years in a relationship with someone where that never happened, that might be a red flag. Just saying.